Hello, my dear students. You all are welcome to my geography class. Okay, I hope you all are doing fine. So, today we are going to discuss the topic phases of population growth from the chapter population distribution, density, growth, and composition. Okay, and this chapter is from the book India, People, and Economy. So in this topic, we will be discussing about what do we mean by growth of population and in what different phases the population of our country, okay, it increased. Okay, that will be discussion. So let us study about population growth first. See, growth of population, or what do we mean by growth of population actually? Growth of population is the change in the number of people living in a particular area between two point of times, and this growth of population is expressed in terms of percentage. Okay, so what is growth of population? Growth of population is actually the increase in the number of people in a particular area between two different time periods. Okay, and this growth of population is expressed in percentage. Okay, suppose in 2001 census the total population was 1021 million, and in 2011 the total population is 1210 million. So if we subtract the total population of 2001 from the total population of 2011, the number of people which has increased, that is the growth of population. Okay, and it will be expressed in percentage. So this population growth has two components. Okay, the population growth has two components. One is the natural and the one is the induced. Or you can also say that natural growth of population and induced growth of population. Okay, these are the two components of population change. See, what is natural growth and what do we mean by induced growth of population? Natural growth of population is basically assessed, okay, by the birth rate and the death rate. Okay, so when the birth rate is higher than the death rate, then there is an increase in the population, and this increase in the population is referred to as the natural growth of population. Whereas induced growth of population, okay, in case of induced growth of population, it is expressed by the volume of inward and outward movement of people in any given area. Okay, so in case of induced growth of population, we take into consideration the migration also, that is the in migration and the out migration, as well as the birth rate and the death rate. Okay, so these are the two components of population change, the natural growth of population change and the induced growth of population change. Okay, so in this regard, in the regard of population growth or growth of population, the one thing which is very important is population doubling time. Okay, population doubling time is a very important topic. Okay, when we are going to discuss about this population growth actually. What is this population doubling time actually? Population doubling time is actually the time period. Okay, the population doubling time is actually the time period which is taken by any population to double itself at its current annual growth rate. Okay, suppose the total population of a country is 1000 people. Okay, so at its present annual growth rate, the time it will take to double, the time it will take, okay, the time it will take for the population to become 2000 is known as the population doubling time. Okay, so population doubling time in simple words is actually the time taken by a certain population to double itself at its present annual growth rate of population. Okay, and this is one of the most important topic. Okay, and we should know about this when we are studying about population growth actually. Okay, so basically, in our country, the population of our country has increased in different time periods. Okay, the population of our country has increased in different time periods, and in different time periods, different characteristics are there. Okay, different causes are responsible for the increase in population in our country. So, in order to have a better understanding about the population growth of our country, the population growth of our country has been divided into four different phases. Okay, the growth of population of our country has been divided into four different phases. That is the phase 1. Okay, and this phase 1 is between the period 1901 to 1921. Phase 2 between the year 1921 to 1951, Phase 3 1951 to 1981, and Phase 4 from 1981 till present. Okay, so these are the these are the four different phases of population growth of our country. So in our country, the population has increased in these four different phases. Okay, and in these four different phases, there are different reasons. Okay, there are different characteristics of these four different phases. So now we will be discussing about the characteristics of these four different phases, okay, or the reasons responsible for the growth of population in these four different phases. So first, let us start with phase 1, that is the time period from 1901 to 1921. Okay, see. The phase 1, that is the period from 1901 to 1921, okay, is also referred to as the period of stagnant or stationary phase of growth of India's population. So the phase 1, okay, the period from 1901 to 1921 is the period of stagnant or stationary phase of India's population growth. Why? Because in this period of time, the population growth of our country was almost stagnant. Okay, the growth rate was almost stationary. Even the growth rate has recorded negative. Okay, the growth rate was negative during the year 1911 to 1921. Okay, between the time period from 1911 to 1921, the instead of increase in the population it decreased actually. Okay. Now the question is why this period is referred to as a period of stagnant growth rate or stationary phase of population growth. Because in this time period, in this phase 1, both the birth rate and the death rate were high. Okay, both the birth rate and the death rate were high. Okay, which kept the rate of increase low. Suppose 100 people they take birth every day. On the other hand, 99 people or 98 or 100 people used to die every day. Okay, so both the birth rate and the death rate was almost equal. So what happened because of this? Okay, as a result of this, the increase in the population was nil. The increase in the population was almost zero. So this is why in this period of time the population growth rate was almost stagnant, and it is okay. And because of this particular period 1901 to 1921 is referred to as the period of stagnant or stationary phase of population growth. Okay. Now why the birth rate and the death rate were like almost same? Okay, because in this period of time both the birth rate was high and the death rate was high. One of the main reason for this was poor health and medical services. Okay, in this time period the health facilities, you can imagine before independence, okay, the health facilities in our country was very poor. We did not have proper medical facilities, health facilities and also. Okay, after again illiteracy of the people, okay, was also responsible for such high birth rate and high death rate, because in that period of time proper family planning were not there. But the people, they used to think that more family members are assessed for the family actually. So at that period of time the birth rate was very high, and on the other hand the death rate was also very high, because people, they died because of certain illness and all, because they did not got proper medical facilities in right time. Okay, so poor health and medical services, illiteracy of the people, and insufficient distribution system of food and other basic necessities were largely responsible for a high birth and death rates in this period. Okay, so the main factor responsible for the high birth and death rate were poor medical and health facilities, okay, illiteracy of the people, insufficient distribution of the food. Now we are having a PDS system, public distribution system, but at that period of time there was no such systems and all. Okay, and in many areas the people, okay, they suffered from poverty and all, they suffer from starvation, they did not get proper foods and all. Okay, and they were suffering from various kinds of disease, illness. Okay, and they used to die actually. So this is what about the phase 1 or the period from 1921 to 1921. So from this topic you may be getting a question like which period is referred to as the period of stagnant or stationary phase of population growth. So in that case your answer will be phase 1, that is the period from 1901 to 1921. Or you may also be getting a question that why during the first phase of population growth the population growth rate was almost stagnant. So in that case you have to mention because both the birth rate and the death rate were high, and the reason why the birth rate and the death rates were high. Okay. Next, let us move to the second phase, that is phase 2. In phase 2, the time period, okay, the year between 1901 to 1921 is referred to as the phase 2. Okay, this is the second phase of population growth, and in this phase the population growth was almost steady. Okay, this phase is also referred to as the period of steady population growth, because in this time period the population growth, it started increasing rapidly. Okay, why? Because in 1921 to 1951, the time period between 1921 to 1951, in this period of time, there was an improvement in the health and the sanitation facilities throughout the country. Okay, so improvement in the medical facilities increased the life expectancy of the people. Okay, now people like in phase 1 we saw that the people, they used to die because of certain diseases and all, as they did not got proper medical facilities and all. But during the second phase, because of improvement in the health facilities and all, health medical facilities, okay, the death rate, it became lower actually. Okay, the death rate, it decreased, but on the other hand the birth rate was high. So increase in the birth rate, the birth rate was very high from the very beginning, from the very first phase only. Okay, so birth rate was high, but the death rate, it started declining. So what happened? There was a more addition of people because of birth. Okay, and the population started increasing rapidly. Apart from this, improvement in transport and communication system also improved the distribution system. Okay, like before, distribution system was not proper, but now because of improvement in transport and communication, the food grains and the other commodities were distributed equally and properly. Okay, the birth rate remained high in this period, leading to higher growth rate than the previous phase. And this is the reason that the population started increasing rapidly during this phase. Okay, and one of the main important thing of this phase 2 is that during this phase 2, okay, India got independence in the year 1947. Okay, now let us study about phase 3, the third phase of population growth. Okay, so the third phase of population growth was during the period 1951 to 1981. In this phase, the population growth rate was very high, or we can say that there was an explosion in India's population growth. Okay, this phase is referred to as the period of population explosion in India, which was caused by rapid decrease in the death rate but a high birth rate and migration. Okay, so in this phase, the population growth rate was very high because of natural cause, that is the birth rate was high, and on the other hand, because of migration of people from the neighboring countries, it added more people in our country. Okay, so the population, it exploded, it increased. It is in this period after the independence that developmental activities were introduced and economies started showing up, ensuring the improvement of living condition of people. So after independence, the government of India took various initiatives, okay, for the development of our nation. So because of developmental activities and all, okay, and as well as increase in the increase in the development of the economic condition, okay, it ensured proper living condition to the people. Now the living condition of the people improved during this phase. Okay, so it also helped them getting better health facilities, sanitation facilities and all. Okay, so the people, life expectancy of the people, it increased, the people started living a better healthy life. Okay, but on the other hand the birth rate was still higher, so the population growth rate was high. Apart from this, in this phase, both the natural and the induced growth was responsible for increasing the population. So basically the natural cause, that is the increase in the birth rate. On the other hand, the induced growth was also responsible. And this induced growth was because of migration. Okay. So basically during this period, many people from neighboring countries, okay, they migrated to our country to avail the opportunities and all. Even many refugees from Tibet and all, they came to our country and they settled here. Okay, and this is the reason that there was a huge explosion in the population of our country. The fourth phase, and this is the last phase of population growth, which is still continuing actually. Okay, during this phase, the growth rate of country's population, though remained high, has started slowing down gradually due to decrease in the birth rate. Okay, so in the fourth phase, the birth rate has started declining. Okay, like in the second phase and the third phase, we saw that the death rate started declining, but in the fourth phase, the birth rate also started declining. Why? Because of improvement in the health facilities, because of improvement in the education facilities and all. Means you can say that the literacy level increased. Okay, so because of increased literacy level, the people become more conscious about family planning and all. Okay, they like the people they started doing family planning. Okay, like they came to know the importance of small family, because if the family are very bigger inside, then it will be a burden for the head of the family. Okay, so because of these certain reasons and all, the birth rate started declining. Apart from this, okay, the government also increased the mean age of marriage. Okay, so the mean age at marriage was increased, improved quality of life, particularly education of the females in the country, was also responsible for decreasing the birth rate. Okay, so both the birth rate, as we saw that the birth rate was already, sorry, the death rate was already declining from the second and the third phase, but in the fourth phase, the birth rate also started declining. Okay, so again, both the birth rate and death rate become almost same. Okay, and the population growth rate also started showing some decline, and this is the reason that we see that India's population growth has now lowered down. Okay, before the population used to increase at the rate of 2.5% and all, but now the population growth is around 1.7% and all. Okay, so this is what about the different phases of population growth in our country. Okay, and these phases of population growth of our country, it provides us a lot of information that how the population of our country increase in different time periods and all. Okay, so I hope you all are clear about this topic. So thank you, my dear students.